It is exactly 12:49, and next on the show is attorney Jean-Paul Rudd. He's a partner at Adam and Adams. He specializes in civil litigation with special emphasis on personal injury-related matters, which includes road accident fund, medical negligence, slip and fall, and wrongful arrest claims, professional indemnity matters, and insurance-related matters. This time around, we're going to talk to him about the vaccine rollout. And I'm wondering, Jean-Paul Rudd, if we can sue the government for medical negligence as far as the late arrival of vaccines are concerned. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your show. I think let's just start from the outset. Let's move back to March 2020, the infamous March 2020, when the lockdown commenced. The lockdown was always intended to be a stopgap measure. So the lockdown was never intended to be a cure. It was always meant to delay infections with a view of a vaccine. Now, eventually, the vaccines have arrived on our shores, but regrettably, government has dragged their feet in this regard. If you look at South Africa compared to the rest of the world, we are far behind the likes of the US, the UK, but I suppose it's not fair comparing us to those sort of countries. So if we just look at the continent, Morocco had secured vaccines long before us. In Guinea, they've already started vaccinating the population. And then if we move to the Middle East, if you look at the Turkeys of the world and Israel, and if you go to Australia, New Zealand, so there's various places ahead of us. So we now need to decide what sort of rights people have, and the lockdown and the lockdown measures impact on certain constitutional rights. Now, the first and most prominent one is the right to life, but it's connected to the right to medical treatment. And then you've got the right to education, as our kids are being impacted, as well as the freedom of movement. Now, where it becomes an issue is that, like I say, the lockdown measures were always a stopgap. So if you look at your rights and the restrictions of your rights, this is allowed in terms of our constitution. So rights are not unlimited. There are certain instances where rights can be restricted in terms of our constitution. But there must be a rational and proportionate connection in this regard. And where my concern lays is with that our rights will be unnecessarily restricted for a longer period of time than many other countries around the world. The race is really on in the world to reach the herd immunity, which everyone is speaking about. Now, in South Africa, that equates to about 40 million people, which is 67%. The first dose has already arrived, the first million vaccines, but that's nowhere near enough. If you think that most of these vaccines require a second shot as well, we're going to be in for these lockdown regulations for at least another year, if not two.
Okay. All right. So as an advocate, as an attorney, you're an attorney, am I right?
I am, yes.
Right. So do I have legal recourse? Can I sue the government for medical negligence, for example? Number one. Number two, the government's talking about integrity of the vaccines. So it's another 2 weeks before they will be rolled out. If it's deemed that the integrity, it's safe to roll them out. And then the other question on all of our minds, and I'm just going to rush this because we are running out of time, is in terms of, is there a loophole in terms of tenderpreneurship going on here? Can this fall in the wrong hands? And are people going to make a lot of money out of the everyday lay South African person? So I've given you 4 questions. If you can respond.
I think let's start on your last one in respect of the tenderpreneurship. I mean, I certainly hope we don't see a lot of corruption regarding these vaccines, because we are already behind the ball in respect of many other countries. So the government, and from what I understand, from what has been broadcast over various news stations, is that tenders will not be issued, and it will be done in-house. We certainly hope that that's the case. I personally think it's unlikely that government can do it in-house. Invariably, they will need to source suppliers, storage entities, the like. So, the vaccines need to be transported. So it is open to corruption. Hopefully, we don't see that. With respect to the question regarding medical negligence, it's not really a claim for medical negligence unless you have a bad batch of vaccine. Say the vaccine is bad, and someone has serious side effects or even passes away. There would be a claim against the big pharmaceutical companies. So your Pfizer's, your AstraZeneca's, your claim would lie there, and it would be a delictual claim and even a contractual claim in many instances against those big pharma companies. And then your other, just help me again with your other questions.
In terms of, as far as rollout is concerned, how's that going to be managed? I wondered about corruption there. And just coming back to the medical negligence question, Can't we hold government responsible for the amount, a large population getting sick and a fraction of the population dying because they drag their heels on securing vaccines? As you indicated, other Northern African countries have gone ahead and they've got their vaccines. Their populations have been vaccinated already.
Yes, so in that regard, we can. That's just not medical negligence, but that is a constitutional breach of your constitutional rights. So where government has dragged their feet, as you've indicated, and I've indicated in my articles, and people suffer as a result of it, and the actions of government were not rational. You would expect to see people start instituting actions down the line. I don't think there will be actions immediately, but if the lockdown continues, if there's if we subjected to these draconian regulations for the next year and a half, and we see other countries, living freely again in the not too distant future, government will certainly be sued for any sort of damages people suffer as a result of government dragging their feet.
Okay, what should we be looking out for as far as the rollout is concerned? What are my rights as far as rollout of the vaccine is concerned? I know healthcare workers are front of the line, but is there anything I need to be aware of as far as my rights and vaccine or receiving of the vaccine is concerned?
Yes, certainly. So the first and the most prominent one is that you do not need to take it if you do not wish to. No one will be forced to take the vaccine. So if your employer, for instance, says that you need to be forced or they force you to take the vaccine, you can decline it. The president has already said that no one will be forced. You cannot be prohibited from traveling. And then in respect of the rollout, I think we will be following, like many other countries, a strict protocol in that regard. The healthcare workers are first. Second, in South Africa, would be teachers and immune compromised, and from there it goes really on age level. So our more senior citizens will be first in line, and then eventually they'll move down the line to the younger people. But what you got to keep in mind is that this is not going to happen overnight. You won't be seeing people standing in queues in the next few weeks. These vaccines that have arrived first need to be tested. Once they've been tested, they'll have to be distributed around the country to the various outlets, and only then people will start lining up. But keep in mind as well that most, if not all, of these vaccines require a second dose in order to be effective. So, we are only busy with the first dose at this stage, and we're very, very far behind in that regard. So, unfortunately, we're going to be subjected to these regulations for many, many months to come.
Okay, and if things don't go according to plan, we're going to be talking to you again to give us guidelines and to make us aware of what our rights are as far as vaccine rollout and other matters are concerned. Thank you indeed for your time. That was attorney Jean-Paul Rudd. He's a partner at Adams and Adams, talking to us about the arrival of the vaccines in South Africa. Thank you indeed. Have a great day. And it is exactly 1 o'clock time to wrap up. Thank you for being with me on the show. Till next week at the same time as always, please, please, please be safe. Mask up, sanitize, and social distance. And as always, it is Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Alli.